Thank you. I want to greet everybody, all my Muslim brethren, and assalamu alaikum. All my, down to the earth Detroiters and what up, though? And all my new African nationalists and free the land. 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 Thank you. I am humbled to be here because this is not a moment of joy and jubilee. There's a genocide taking place at this very moment in our lifetime. And it is not something that we should turn away from, and we should discourage others from turning away from, because America is a hedonistic society. It provides distractions, unending, and we can lose our own humanity in being distracted from what's happening, because what's happening in Gaza right now is we know that's what happened to the people that's committing those acts. And we felt bad that those acts happened to them. But then they turn around and commit those acts as if they never happened. The Holocaust loses its currency as, bringing people to the table. When you talk about, what's happening right now in Gaza. 30,000 people. And put 32,000+ people today. I did the math maybe a month ago, and I forgot how many persons in Gaza that were slain for every Israeli that they said were slain. And it's outrageous. And it's outrageous. It's not self-defense. And let's put it like this. Let's be plain about this. There are no civilians in Israel. There's no civilians, because every last one of us are mandated to get military training. That removed their civilian status when October 7th happened. And I don't wish harm, death, or nothing on nobody. I don't think that's the way to resolve our problems. But I thought about Nat Turner. To those who don't know about what's going on over there, it seemed like they just jumped up out of nowhere and just did an atrocious act. Nat Turner jumped up out of nowhere and did what many thought was an atrocious act. But slavery was nearly 200 years old when Nat Turner rose up in 1831. Slavery is an abomination. Apartheid is an abomination. The way people are treated so inhumanely, it's an abomination. And we can't turn our heads away from that. We can't stop looking at the barbarity that the Zionists are inflicting on Gaza. We can't get tired of looking at those images, because when we stop looking, we forget, and we do something else that don't have no significance without humanity. This society ain't trying to enrich our humanity. It's degrading us. And I say this a lot. But folks, when we talk about, let me talk about this just briefly. Free the land is our slogan. Why? Because African people came to America to constitute a distinct nation inside the body of this settler colonial state. If you know anything about Jamaicans, Haitians, Barbadians, they came over on slave ships too. But they are nationalities. They are shaped by the unique experience on those islands and lands. In Guyana, we can go on and on Brazil. They all have distinct, they were shaped partly by the colonial experience. They colonized, they speak the language. Some speak French, they speak French in Haiti. They speak Spanish in some countries. Where British were their rulers, they speak English. All of our nations except the people here. We call ourselves black. Europeans called us Negroes, which is Spanish for black. Negro got degraded to that other word that we don't like to say. Some people seeking an identity tried to call ourselves colored. Some found value in the color black and made it beautiful. Then some, most notably in the 70s and early 80s when Jesse Jackson was running for president, he ran twice in the 80s, he began to push African American aggressively. That links us, that attaches us, makes us hyphenated Americans. America's a genocidal state from its very beginning. And we must be clear on that. This is such a beautiful international gathering. It is beautiful. Everybody here. I have a couple of images that I downloaded off the internet a few years ago. It comes from Telesur, a Latin American news website. But it's about Palestine. And it shows how Israel slowly but surely took the land. And they're trying to get it, what they say, from the river to the sea. But they were preceded by the United States, who did the same thing. They started in Jamestown, Virginia. The new African nation was born in 1619. When we landed, when 20 captives, Africans, seized, were landed in Jamestown, Virginia. King James of England, that is, Virginia, they called it virgin territory. But people were already here. They call it from sea to shining sea, from the Atlantic to the Pacific. It's the same garbage. Yeah. It's the same garbage. And we have to see these parallels. I went to Lebanon in 2018, in March 2018, as part of the Blacks for Palestine, part of an international delegation. It was a very international gathering in Lebanon. Visited a few Palestinian refugee camps, and deepened my own understanding of the plight of Palestinian people, the struggle, the determination of Palestinian people. And I was strengthened by that experience. Some people don't understand how African people could be so united behind other struggling people when we got so much to deal with. I learned something about our struggle and theirs. Because you know why we're in Detroit? Slavery wasn't in Detroit. For 246 continuous years, African people were enslaved in the Deep South. They have an area that's known as the Black Belt. Some people try to sanitize and say it's because of the soil, but that's where the vast majority, in 1865, 4.4 million African people were in the South. That was over 95% of the total African population in United States of America. There was a few free people in the northern states. The vast majority is in the South. The terrorism. You hear me? The terrorism. We didn't end up in Detroit because we was looking for a good job. They sanitized history, y'all. We are refugees. I learned about my refugee status going to refugee camps trying to understand. People left. They didn't leave. Some people left at night. Tenant farming and sharecropping. People were indebted. They were trapped on the land. They couldn't leave because they were bound by the debts. So some people left on the night train. Men hoboed their way to the north looking for jobs, trying to figure out a way. We know we talk about Mexicans crossing the border. These borders are huge in conversations today. All over the world. That ain't just United States. Israel is the mastermind behind these walls on the Mexican border. The IDF are training U.S. police forces. Come on now. They are experts in militarism. Come on, y'all. They are the most proficient in surveillance technology in the world. Gaza is said to be the most surveilled place on the planet. All right, let's compare Detroit to Palestine. Detroit is 140 square miles. Gaza is 140 square miles. Detroit, at this date, is said to be 620,000 people. Gaza, at time of October 7th, was said to be 2.3 million people. So it's nearly roughly 4 Palestinians in the same. Imagine, I want you to visualize Detroit. I tried to draft. I ain't good at this stuff, but I tried to do something. I created this map of Detroit. Each dot, 600 dots. Each dot represents 1,000 people if it's Detroit. Each dot will represent 3,700 if there were Gaza. Of course, Palestine would be shaped. You would have to take some of this and bring it up here and stack it up and make it bigger. But the area is exactly the same. Imagine, all right, this DB, this is over here by Grosse Pointe, Cashew, Mac,
Imagine the bombardment start over here, and people start rushing. Each of these dots, we talking about Palestinians. They ain't did it to us yet. 3 point, each dot represents 3,700 people. Now these people run. They saying go to the safe zone. We gonna assume that this is Rafa. This is Egypt over here, and this is the border. Everybody, I'm turning to the side. People start here, and they move. Bombardments are following them everywhere they go. Y'all hear me? To where like I said, I ain't good at this, but I tried to create some maps with showing the movements and the concentration. Now imagine your Detroit neighborhood. I just want you to picture Detroit. People slide from the east to the west, except it's 4 times the number of people that you're familiar with. And they ain't got no food, no medicine, bombs following them, dogging their trails. They destroying everything, scorched earth policy, people included. Imagine this happening to us in Detroit. Are y'all following me? Yeah. This is ugly, y'all. This is ugly by any measure. And there's no way in the world, again, that we should turn our face from this. This isn't the only genocide in the world. It is the genocide of our time. People have been displaced from lands before, but this is what's happening in our time. We can't repair history. Right now, we can do something about it. And people always ask, so what can we do? The United States, they just fold. They won't say nothing. They got all the power, but they won't. You know, they got this movement called the BDS movement. Boycott, divestment, and sanctions. The way I understand it, the way I learned it, it was borrowed from the South African anti-apartheid struggle. Because it was very effective. People don't borrow losing strategies. It was very effective. Universities, like right now, you have a Palestinian a couple youth organizations at Wayne State University, trying to get the university to divest from Israel. Because they got money in some of these weapons manufacturers. Boeing and, I can't even remember or think of all the names. And what the divestment is, pressuring institutions to pull their money out, pull their investments out. That's at the institutional level. Sanctions at the level of government. The United States, if it was anybody else in the world, they would impose sanctions and, stop trade and everything else. Because they did it for less. Much, much less. Make no mistake about it. Much, much less. But boycotting, that is something that the everyday man or woman can participate in. This is a website. How effective that could be in the amount of time and the amount of death that has happened thus far, I don't know. But we got to bring pressure every angle, whatever way we can. But we definitely must keep asking people, pressuring officials, and calling them out, cussing them out, whatever we got to do, that they understand that we're serious. Just call for a ceasefire, demand a ceasefire, to stop sending women, sending weapons. One of the things the United States did at the beginning of this genocidal onslaught was to commit to Israel to backfill all their weapons. What does that mean? Every bullet you shoot, we replace. Meaning they don't have to worry about running out of bullets. Every bomb you drop, we replace. That is complicity. Why would I call myself an African American? Why would I make myself complicit in such crimes against humanity? Why would anybody? Just because we're here? Come on, man. Just because we're here? Oh, let's think about this. The earth belongs to everybody. All human beings claim a piece of it because that's what we did from time immemorial. This is my turf. This is what we do. This is where we live. And, don't transgress against us. You know what I'm saying? Go along and get along. Everybody can be friends. The earth is growing. Humanity is moving. We're in a period. I'm a nationalist. But let me be clear. I don't think that nationalism is one of those things that's going to phase out too. Borders and things like that, because
What I tell people all the time, and I think I started this earlier and didn't complete it, was that one of the things that people say about the enslavement of Africans in America is that they dehumanized us, and they did. The only way to effectively keep a large population like that, because somewhere in that black belt, we outnumber the enslavers. Just like a person in prison, you got 20 guards on the ship, and you got 1,000 prisoners. I mean, it's a science to manage humanity on that level. It takes a lot of fear, intimidation, defeatism instilled in people, but they dehumanized us. They robbed us of everything that we knew about ourselves. That's why we act so American and be so corny in the ways that we act out in this society, because this is all we know. And when somebody try to teach us something, they wipe them out. And then we go on about our business like nothing ever happened. So we have to be clear that if they dehumanized us as part of our liberation struggle, one of the principal things that we must restore is our humanity. Because ain't no liberation without it. Because we were humans before slavery. And if we ain't humans after slavery, then what's the point? A continuation of the status quo, except we not being discriminated against? I mean, what are we talking about now, for real? Do we want a Gucci store in the new nation? We want Beamer dealerships? We still want to do Grammys and, all this old silly stuff? What do we want liberation to look like? We need to start thinking about that now. We think about that now. While we're trying to free the land, we got to be thinking about what the future looks like. What are these babies that's running around here? What kind of world do we want for them? So we have to think about that now. We do it with each other. Because one of the things I learned about this current conflict in Gaza and these Israelis, I get sick, and I think I upset a few people when we did the event. The brother said we should model ourselves off the Jews, and I was like, no! That is no model for us at all. But one of the things I learned was that this land struggle in Palestine, they've been talking about two-state solution forever. In our lifetime, that is. And people ask, because we claim land here in North America. First, of course, we defer to any indigenous peoples. But we claim the land that we buried 246 years worth of our ancestors in. That becomes sacred land. Where our blood, sweat, and tears fertilized the soil. It made the cotton and the rice grow. That's sacred land. We were driven off that land through Klan, White Citizens Council, all these supremacists or hegemonic terrorist groups. One of my brothers told me I should stop saying white supremacists. I don't say white no more, I just call them sellers. But the supremacists feeds to the idea, just call them, they're hegemonists. They're not supremacists, they're hegemonists. They want to be supremacists. They're wannabes in that regard. So, yes, I done said a lot, y'all.
Thank you, Kwasi.
We got a lot of work to do. The war continues. The bombardments continue. They don't care about men, women, nor children. And if we care about men, women, or children, then we should be, figuring out how to engage more and more people around this struggle. Our struggle is intertwined in this struggle. Che Guevara, during the Vietnam War, after he had left Cuba and began traveling around the world to lend his expertise of guerrilla warfare to other liberation struggles, he had this notion of what he called 1, 2, 3 Vietnams. In other words, we accelerate our struggle by struggling against the empire. We help everybody else when we struggle against the empire. Accelerate our struggle, meaning you have to pull back from the empire. Stop claiming it. Stop claiming it. Stop doing everything they say is cool. Because it ain't. It costs something, right? Ain't nothing cool free. Everything cool costs. So let's pull back from some of that and figure out how we're going to restore our humanity. Sorry for taking so long.